Hi folks, just to kick us off on a cheery note, this episode is about Williamz and job clubs, and he runs his job clubs in co-working spaces and libraries, and it helps people come and work out how to get themselves ready for employment. And in London, which is the area I was most focused on for this podcast, youth unemployment is at 15.3%. So that's people aged 16 to 24 find it harder than ever to get a job for a variety of reasons. And in Newham, East London, which is near where I used to live, it is at 8.7%, which is way above the national average. And basically, like inner London, unemployment is really, really high. And if you contrast this with the images we see of co-working and get back to the office and everything, the unemployment rate is shockingly high. But there's a lot of stuff we can do to help people in our cities and in our communities get jobs. And there's already a lot happening. If you're one of those people, get in touch. But places like Faceworks in Lewisham, Urban MBA in Hackney, and Williamz, who we're going to hear from, who operates in East London, and particularly Space 4 in Finsbury Park, are doing something to make that happen. And go to the link in the show notes. It is Unreasonable Connection, live and in person. And this topic here is one of the things we'll be talking about as we do that kind of participatory, can't even say that word, get together of co-working community builders. So let's get into the show. Hello folks, it is the Co-working Values podcast, and back in studio is Williamz. You remember from the Job Club episode. So Williamz, for those that missed the epic first version or edition, what are you known for and what would you like to be known for?
I am known for being a social entrepreneur. I run a consultancy called WO Consultancy, and we specialize in employability support, access to health messages, digital inclusion, equitable access to the creative arts, and engaging hard to reach young people. And we do this by being very innovative in our approach in running workshops and drop-ins. We want to be known for being very disruptive in all the spaces that we occupy.
It sounds like you're going to kick over all the chairs in all the spaces you occupy. Or
not even. It's just, have real conversations and look at issues through different lenses and have different approaches. So, that makes people feel uncomfortable. So, we want to go against the grain. So that's how we want to be disruptive, by going against the grain.
So before I want to set the scene a little bit, because this is the first thing that pops in my head from the millions of notes in front of me, is that, what do you call it? The connected network event you did where you had the hairdresser and the nail person. And can you set the scene from that? Because I think that is something that could happen in any community center or co-working space where people get together. So like, who was in the room? Who was it for? And who did you have around there? Just set the scene for us.
Okay, so one of the things that we do, we run job clubs. We run them in libraries, and we also run it at Space 4, which is a community cooperative space. And the job clubs is just a drop-in, so we don't have any eligibility criteria. So everybody's welcome to come to the job club. And when they attend the job club, they receive support to help them get back into work. So we have access to computers and internet and free prints. And, I come from an employability background, and I've trained job club champions to give, a light touch of information, advice and guidance around CVs, job search, interview techniques and application forms. And then we've also added some workshops to help people become more employable. So whether that's to learn how to use a computer or particular software. So been doing that for a few years, and the network of people coming to the job club started to grow. So I wanted to put on an event where we bring everybody together, and we will invite people from my network who work in different industries to come along and talk about their journey, talk about how they got into their industry. And then that kind of grew with, okay, if I'm going to bring people along to talk about their journeys, like what else can I offer as a nice golden carrot to come to the job club. So I think the first couple of ones we had like a CV workshop, and different talks around AI and personal branding, social media. So this year's event, which was in October, in conjunction with Black History Month, I kind of wanted to grow it and offer something a little bit more. So this year we added 3 zones within the networking event. So we had a look good, feel good zone, a health zone, and an employment and business zone. So each zone had different things. So the look good, feel good zone, we had a barber there giving out free haircuts, a nail technician doing nails, a stylist talking and giving advice on styling on a budget. And then we had a professional photographer taking headshots for people's LinkedIn. So you'd get your haircut done, get your nails done, and then you go get your headshot done for LinkedIn, which was really cool. So everything's free, everything's accessible. Then we had a health zone. So because there's a sense of trust that people are coming to this event because they're part of the job club, it's now a little bit easier to kind of, gently push them to go get their blood pressure read, to get screening for diabetes. And then we had a talking therapist from the NHS to talk about mental health issues. And that was really good because a lot of cultures see mental health as a taboo. So to have this wonderful person to come down and speak, I forget her name, but, she spoke about the taboos and the cultural misunderstandings, and she really broke things down, and people really wanted to speak to afterwards. And, it was really good to see that engagement with health services that probably wouldn't normally happen because there is a lot of mistrust when it comes to accessing health services. So when you have it in an environment where, you feel comfortable, you feel safe, you're more likely to engage with health services. And the feedback I got from the health practitioners were so positive. So they want to come to all my events now because they just engaged so much with the community. And then the last zone we had was a employment and business zone. So we had a business advisor on intellectual property. So if you're an entrepreneur, you want to start something, you get free advice. We had life coaches there. We had a CV guru looking at your CV in real time. We had a small business that's looking for interns, and they had some part-time roles. So it's like a really good event. So yeah, it was really cool. It was for the community. It was by the community, for the community. So that was really good. People stayed the whole day. Some of the feedback that I got, which is good, is some of the older community members felt like this wasn't geared towards them. So they felt like, it was about AI and this, that, and the third. So that's giving me some food for thought. So I'm going to do a mini community connect event specifically for the over 50s. So it'll be age appropriate. So looking at health issues that affect older people, looking at maybe financial advice around pensions and things of that nature, insurance. So yeah, it's going to be very age appropriate. I've got some over 50s that I'm bouncing some ideas off of. So they've given me some really good ideas. So we're looking to do that in the new year. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Just be kind of very unconventional. And the space that we actually ran it in was in a library, which is a concept library. So it's called the Living Room Library, which was a really great space. But yeah, these types of events can definitely be run anywhere, wherever there's space and it's accessible, and you're able to really connect with the community and give something back, which is very tangible that they can hold and they can use. And that's what we're about, is making sure anything that we do is not performative and is not putting a plaster over, the issues that are there. It's giving real kind of pathways and route ways to overcome such barriers and, support the community that way.
Which library was it in?
It's called 4th Street Library. So it's called the Living Room Library. So it's a concept library where the shelves on wheels, so you could push them to the side, up against the wall. It's got a stage area. So it's really meant to be used as a event space to put things on. So it works really well, really, really well.
So all those, as I was listening to that, I was thinking, all that group of people in that room, what would they be? How would they be solving those issues if they hadn't come to you? Because it feels like what's coming up for me. So I sound like weirdo then? Like, is the trust in that room? Everyone's like chosen to be there because, as you said about access to health, is even me trying to my wife has to book me appointments because I just like don't want to go. I just don't know what to do. But then if I'm in front of so many times, particularly something to do with mental health has come up in a situation like that. If someone comes into a co-working space and says, we're all getting checked for pancreatic cancer, whatever it is, I'll be like, oh, that babe's doing that. I'll go with him. But I'd never book the appointment myself. And there's a lot more going on there than LinkedIn and getting a job.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely the trust aspect. And, I really noticed that where, people, organizations would approach me and say, Williamz, do you mind if we come to your job club because we might have some opportunities? And I would send out an email to my mailing list, and then a lot of people would come because they're like, well, Williamz says that someone's going to be here and they're looking for, care workers and they've got training, then why not? So that really kind of sparked this idea of, okay, I can incorporate some of the other things that we're trying to tackle and merge them together because of course, it's the same community that we're trying to engage with. So why not, at a networking event, also have some health professionals there that are just kind of blended into what we're doing, and we say that they're there. So if you do want to get your blood pressure read because, you've spoken to someone and they've told you that they've got high blood pressure and they're on medication and you don't know where to go, then it's like, okay, I could go to this event and at least find out some information that could potentially save my life. So yeah, it worked really well. And I guess for me personally, like the measure of success is looking over to the zone and seeing how busy it was throughout the whole day. So even though I asked them, the health professionals to, record how many people they saw, but throughout the day they were just busy. And then at the end of the event, the emails I got from the health professionals was just like, this was amazing. We were busy all day. Normally when we go to outreach events, we don't see anybody or we see one person, if that, but we were literally overwhelmed. Like anytime you have anything like this, we want to be there. So it's really good to kind of build those relationships and those partnerships.
The other thing that occurred to me is because of the way that room's put together is people are finding what they need rather than being told what they should do. So instead of you have to come here and get a job, you have to come here and have a health check, and being told what, like me saying to you, this is what I think you should do, Williamz. It's you're working it out for yourself. So there's that thing somewhere you've talked about it, like, and I think it's important too, like actually having agency in what you're doing rather than being, top down life management.
Yeah, definitely. You want to, that's something that I do kind of, I've wrestled with that because it's like, not to say that, and I'm just being using general terms here, that the community are quite ignorant. It's not to say that, but understanding, and I'll use myself for an example as a black man with Nigerian heritage, not going to the doctors when you feel pain because I feel like I'm strong enough to kind of ride it out, not wanting to take painkillers or, I can't tell you the last time I had a checkup at the doctors. So knowing that myself and then trying to support the community to be the opposite of me, it's just like, okay, what would work for me? What would make things more accessible? Okay, I would love to be able to, speak to someone who looks like me, or speak to someone in a convenient space, or speak to someone in a space that I feel safe. That which will make things so much more accessible for me personally. So I kind of use that lived experience and think, okay, let me throw everything out there and see what sticks, and then also listen to the feedback. And, people have come back to me and with the haircuts, for example, they said they would like a female hairdresser to cut women's hair. And I'm like, okay, so that's really good feedback. You know, if I get a barber's for the men and a nail technician for the women, and the feedback was like, we also want haircuts as well. So it's like, okay, next year definitely going to try and incorporate that. So yeah, it's definitely listening to the community, getting feedback on projects that you put on, and then make the adjustments when needed.
Let's get to that bit about, is this like a plaster, or is it making a change? And because it's like, as we've been talking before this and thinking about this, are we actually impacting long-term lives, or putting a plaster on it? I think there's a constant feeling of like, when I lived in London, it just seemed to be getting more and more intense. And then it was intense before Brexit, like 2010 or something, when there were all the riots in Hackney and why all that came about. And then Brexit, and then COVID. It's like, oh my God. And the economy is just getting like more and more squeezed. It's like always an uphill battle. And one of the things I keep, I'm a little bit obsessed with at the moment is like how much youth funding has been cut in the last, 15 years.
Right.
I can't, it's like 100, I don't know, misquote myself. It's in one of my blogs, but it's like a huge amount. It's like £45 million is the budget for all youth in London, either last year or this year. And I think that means that there's not a lot of support for young people. So organizations like yours and Urban MBA and like the hundreds kind of fill that gap that's been left. So I think that's most people listening to this will have an idea of that, but that's one of the biggest problems. And I think coming along doing these things, I think you're like reconnecting people, and that's the work. They think they're coming for help to getting a job, but they're like reconnecting with real life help and the job support. I might have said something that you disagree with there, so feel free to take me out.
No. It's definitely. There's definitely a link between the budget cuts and like kids just being disillusioned, lack of youth centers. That connection with the community is definitely kind of lacking. And like you mentioned, there's so many amazing organizations that are plugging the gap, trying to keep that connection with the community, trying to help them overcome the barriers. Like you said, like people are being squeezed, like it's just a constant. And, I see it at the job club where people are just like, just fighting to survive. But one thing I will say is that the community in general are very resilient. You throw anything their way, and as long as there's support there, then they're gonna do what they can to overcome. So the job clubs now are probably the busiest they've ever been, and there's still a desire for people to find jobs, to upskill, to kind of move with the times. So yeah, the community is super, super resilient. So it takes people like myself and other people who are passionate about this work to put things on, because the community will engage, because they are very resilient and they do want to overcome the barriers that are in front of them.
And I want to get to this bit we talked about beforehand about putting a plaster on the issues, or are we helping the community evolve? Because I want it to be like we're helping the community evolve. And I see that in different projects and stuff like, Space 4. I've known that space for 10 years now. And I don't know, it's had some hard times, and because of, mainly circumstances beyond their control, but they've managed to put it together, and, you're in there, and founders and coders are in there, and it's part of the local community. So it's always moving. And I believe in that type of space. And that's where I see the community evolving. And like, do you have that feeling that, like, not just there, but like, as you're going around East London seeing things?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, like with Space 4, like I didn't know what a Space 4 was until I went there for something completely unrelated. and speaking to Natasha, that's one of the founders of Space 4, and the conversation kind of evolved to like what I do. And that's when Natasha kind of told me about Space 4's social value and give back. And that's when we started talking about, projects and how Space 4 can engage the community more. And she told me some of the things that they were doing. So then I came from it with like a completely different hat on. And I just said, why don't you do this? And then that was the start of a beautiful conversation where, there's a little bit of apprehension because the way I work is very different. And it was just like, yeah, let's just start a job club. It'll be a drop in. People will come, people will get support. And, I remember Natasha saying, and Maddie at the time, they were like, are people going to turn up? And I was like, so you're not quite sure. And in my mind's eye, I was like, of course people are going to turn up, because I understand is if you have something that is of value, it's really supporting people and it's consistent, then word of mouth is going to precede you. You get a couple people come, you do something for them in real time, and they're going to go away and tell people that, I went to this job club thing on a Friday and they gave me this really good CV. And then someone's going to be like, I need a new CV. And they're like, yeah, it's free, go. And literally, like the first couple of weeks was so busy that we had to stop advertising for the job club. It was insane, so it was just we were expecting maybe 2 to 3 people per session, and we was getting 15 people a session.
Wow.
So trying to engage with 15 people in 3 hours. So we had to kind of just tell everybody to slow down with the reposting. And that's now why the Fridays is going to be extended to Digital Fridays, just to accommodate the need that's in the area. So that
can I jump in there? Like,
yes, ma'am.
So this, you thought 3 people were going to turn up. Where did you tell people about that? Was that Space 4 telling people, or you telling your community?
It was just reaching out to the network of organizations that work in the space of supporting people back into employment. Just in that emails to the job center, to other employability organizations, and just letting them know that, yep, this is what we're doing. We're going to be here for a while. And because I know how this thing works, once you say no eligibility criteria, there's no boxes that people have to fit in. It's like, oh, wow, we can send everybody there, or we can send the people that we don't want to work with, or the people that are more difficult to work with, or we can send them that they're going to get support because there's no eligibility criteria. So, you're always...
That's so good.
You're going to always be busy when there's no barriers to access your services.
So, other than like, you're so cool, like, why do you think so many people came? Is it just that eligibility thing, or is it, we're in a tough... That sounds so obvious, doesn't it? Sorry, but like, I'm surprised that many people came to that with that consistency. It suggests like or it doesn't even suggest, it's like an alarm bell. Like there's a lot of need for people to find a way to earn a living.
Yeah, all of the above. High unemployment, no eligibility criteria. We're doing a lot of work for organizations that are doing the same work that we're doing, if that makes sense. So if somebody gets referred to, let's say, Bernie, you have an organization that does the same thing that we do, but you're oversubscribed or you're too busy and you've got a waiting list, then you may pass people off to us because you've got some good feedback that we see people straight away. So yeah, all of the above. And we're good at what we do. And I say that quite bullishly, like we make sure that the CVs are personalized. So they're not generic CVs. They, being able to use AI, we're able to create like really good personalized CVs. We talk to people, we listen to people, we hear all the stories of people's journeys of engaging with different organizations, and, they give us feedback and they tell us the difference between them and us, and and it's really good. Like we take great pride in seeing people and supporting them straight away and letting them know that this is a safe space for you to come back to You don't have a number of sessions that you can see as you could come here as much as you want. You could come here for 5 minutes if you want. Like we're always going to be here on a Friday. And I think that works really well, that model.
I think that work. Like I've seen so many things over the years where that kind of, you don't have to tick a box and you don't have to bring a blood sample and you don't have to like prove your great grandfather fought in the First World War. You know, it's like and I've been part of projects like this. There's been, we helped X amount of people get into this. And it's like, if they feel this is why I'm so, enamored with you. This no eligibility criteria there's a lot of performative things. We helped this many people get this and this result. And then we dig back into it. There's those people that got helped probably would have found that kind of thing anyway, because they're digitally literate, or, their aunt works in Citibank and was looking out for them. There's like, I know that's been a bit cruel, but the people that really need it is so hard for them to, even know where to look, even if it's in their neighborhood. Like there's a thing, but I think it's about 5 years ago, Space 4 did this thing, and it's the amount of people that knew that they were in the area was really, really low, even though they'd be talking about themselves. Like people on that Front Hill Road?
Yeah, Front Hill Road.
No idea what co-working space was, let alone they could go in it and learn how to code. Yeah. And that's not the fault of Space 4, it's just like, getting the word out. Do you want to comment on that? And then like go to like this digital access thing, because everyone has an iPhone is not true.
Right. Like the measurement of success. And I had a really good conversation about this last week that gave me an idea for an app. So we're going to do a word exclusive to talk about this app. I spoke to this young gentleman last week, and he was challenging me of how do I measure success of the job club. And then I was like, I guess I measure success on the people who turn up, so if one person turns up, to me, that's successful, so we get on average, Edmonton Green, maybe 25 people every Wednesday, Enfield Town, 10, and now Space 4 between like 8 and 10 now. So all the job clubs are super busy. People come back, word of mouth, we get new registrations every week, blah, 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 blah. And then he was just like, yeah, but shouldn't it be more like the measurement of success is how many people you get into work? And I was like, yeah, you could look at that as a measurement of success, but then there's also people who are really far away from that. So what does that mean? That they're not being proactive, or that's not success? And I was like, they're on a journey. So them coming to the job club, that's a huge journey, because they've made that conscious decision to come to the job club. And now slowly their digital skills might be getting better. They've got a CV. They've learned how to, attach a CV to a job searching site. So these are all measurement of success. I don't get caught up on the end of the journey. I'm all about the journey. And he was like really kind of challenging me. And I said, okay, if I was a recruitment agency and I had to get people into work because we've got targets that we need to hit, we've got shareholders we need to keep happy, then I'm going to focus on the easier wins. I'm not going to work with everybody because that's a waste of my time. I'm going to focus on the ones who have a CV already, or they've just come out of work within the last month or two, and they've got a master's degree, right? And I said, I'm just going to focus on these individuals because they're the ones who, air quotes, are more likely to get a job straight away. Then I said, that's not how I want to work, because I want to work with everybody. Because if you're only focusing on those who are more able to get a job, then the ones who are not as able, then what happens to them? And if you see that this light in his head turn on, then he was just like, okay, I've been looking at it the wrong way. So then that made me think about, how do I measure or almost motivate someone who comes to the job club and they're happy to turn up to the job club and sit on a computer for 3 hours and do their own job search, right? How do I get them to be uncomfortable and be like, okay, I already know how to use a computer to search for a job. So maybe I need to do this workshop and update a particular skill that I don't have, or I need to do a CV or a interview workshop because yes, I'm getting interviews and I'm not getting these jobs. So therefore I need to look at my own interview technique that I think's amazing. So I've come up with an app that kind of feeds off of the football XG score. And that's all I'm going to say.
I don't know what the XG score is, but as a list in there, I think that is, it's like that NHS thing, couch to 10K.
Yes.
Like just simplifying your process there is just getting, the gym is 6 minutes from my house, and just getting in the gym is some weeks is an achievement in itself. And I shall go there for 5 minutes, and I'm not trying to, go and lift. I don't know what you lift, but I just getting in the building starts the process. And as I'm listening to that, like there's so many things. I would be so petrified of what to say in an interview that I haven't even got yet, that I wouldn't even like fill in my CV. And if someone sat with me and said like, this is what a CV is, and I'm like dyslexic and ADHD and don't like forms, and like, the world in a lot of ways doesn't work for me. But, I would need my hand held through that process. And then when I got to the interview, like every job I've gone for, I've always got, because I'm like so charming. But I wouldn't even get, it's easier to sit at home and, not do anything than it is to try and fill in a CV.
Yeah.
It's really important. It's really, really important work, like huge. And actually seeing other people who are doing the same thing, because you think you're the only person looking for a job. And then when you meet loads of people on the same journey as you, that is, worth its weight in gold on its own.
That's one of the best things to see, where people in the job club, they start interacting with each other. They start supporting each other. They start helping each other. They're like, okay, when are you coming next week? 10 o'clock? Okay, I'm going to get it for 10:30. I'll wait for you. I'll keep a computer next to. I love seeing these little networks and communities within the job club start to happen. So that's why when we have the networking event, it's nice to kind of bring everybody together. So yeah, it's all about that peer-to-peer support.
We had, you'll appreciate it, it's like years ago, we used to do these meetups in the co-working space to help run. And it was like for freelancers and consultants and all this kind of stuff. And it was just an informal get together, and people, the most important conversation would kind of come round every 3 months without us even scheduling it, was like, how much do you charge? And the amount of people that were like highly skilled and were charging like £100 a day. And everyone was like, what are you doing? Like, I don't do anything. Can I charge like £750 a day? And then they talk about how they talk about, do you go for the close in the first 5 minutes of meeting a client, and like all this stuff that no one tells you, and you can read it on, blogs, but when you're actually talking to people in face to face about those little things that the questions you dare not ask, it's good information that also boosts your confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We need to find a way to end this, Williamz, because, I've got lunch and we need to go. So what would, are you looking for more places to run job club?
Yes.
At this moment in time?
Yes, definitely trying to expand, definitely trying to get some more funding to do that. Because I know a lot of organizations don't have any funding. So we're trying to be self-sufficient by being able to apply for funding in particular areas, and then approaching organizations to set up shop within their space.
Is there a particular area of town that you'd like to find a place?
Being from Waltham Forest, definitely want to come back east. So we've got North London, we've got Enfield and Finsbury Park at Space 4. So definitely want to be in East London. So Waltham Forest, Leighton, Stratford. Want to go south for the river, so want to go down to Brixton as well. I've got an affinity for Brixton, so I really want to do some work down there as well.
That reminds me of like getting a taxi from Tottenham Court Road in the 90s. Don't go south of the river. Okay, So if you have, I know there's people listening to this that are in those locations and are sending this podcast, but it'd be great to help Williamz expand across this side of town, even south of the river. We're going to put the links in put all the links in the show notes. But where's the best place to keep up with you and keep track of your work?
Instagram, to be fair. My website, I try and keep it up to date, but yeah, definitely Instagram. So that's WO Consultancy, all one word. So on Instagram, so I'm always posting, snapshots of what we do. So yeah, you definitely catch me on there. And then the website, we're going to do like a big relaunch / brand for the new year. So that's www.woconsultancy.co.uk.
Can you imagine how many people sitting around at the moment going, I'm going to do a big website launch for the new year?
Oh yeah, I've been saying that for the last 6 years.
That's exactly what I'm doing this week, which has been on the cards since Easter. So look, come back again in the new year and let us know how it's going. Really love, sharing. That sounds so marketing, doesn't it? I really love sharing your story, Williamz. And if you are ever in Finsbury Park, make sure you get to Space 4. They have an amazing community lunch on Wednesdays, which I'm always ranting about. And then in the new year, folks, there's European Co-working Day coming up, which is not till May, but we're talking about it now. There's a link in the show next to that. We have our Unreasonable connection going live, which is on the 24th of February 2026, and that will be 150 co-working community builders all in the room. All we're going to do together is all you're going to do all day is work with each other, collaborate with each other, talk to each other, help each other solve problems, what consultants like to call best practice. So you'll leave that with if you don't solve a problem in your co-working space or take away a good idea, I will eat my hat. And there's one thing I need to say. In the LinkedIn co-working group, get in there and share your story. And wherever you are in the world, be careful out there. It is a jungle. Say goodbye, Williamz.
Goodbye, and thank you for having me again, and look forward to speaking to you in the new year.
Thank you.